Good afternoon. This is Jeremy Murphy. Thanks for joining us for episode 3 of 3 Feet from Gold Through the Valleys. I am a positivity coach, running coach, health coach, and also creator of the Positivity Patrol. I'm in Lincoln, Nebraska, and I'm joined by Ha Tran. Hello, Ha.
Hello, Jeremy. Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Ha Tran. I'm a motivational speaker, a published author, and a navigational coach. So today we're talking about Through the Valley, one of my favorite topics.
Well, one of mine too. Not one of the easiest topics, but definitely one of the ones that it just seems like it keeps coming up in different ways in different people's lives, and it gives us a different insight to see it happen several times, doesn't it?
Yes, yeah. So do we have the housekeeping?
Yes, let me drop the notice here from the foundation. And I'm going to go ahead and read this into the record. I should explain for those of you that haven't joined us before or may not remember that we did ask for permission from the Napoleon Hill Foundation to present this series. They did grant us permission, but they had asked us to read this notice as part of the show. 3 Feet from Gold is used with the consent of the Napoleon Hill Foundation. However, the foundation has no control over and does not endorse the blab.im platform or content. To learn more about the Napoleon Hill Foundation, go to www.naphill.org. And you can find out more about the foundation and the wonderful work that they do. Thanks. I should explain also, we were going to make it clear, since some weeks we cover 2 chapters and some weeks we cover 1. This is episode 3, but it's actually based on chapter 4 of the book, 3 Feet from Gold. Okay.
Okay, and today is our talking point is about Through the Valley. So the valley, what do you think about the valley?
To me, the valley really refers to the rough, tough moments in life, the rock bottom times where suddenly and frequently unexpectedly we're faced with some form of chaos or a challenge that we have to figure out how to overcome. That's what I think of when I hear the word valley. How about you?
Yeah, it seems to me a valley is that the lower point of one's self. Just like, for instance, just like for you and me, the valley is something that at the moment in our life that we are, I don't want to say hit the rock bottom per se, but at our lower point when we have some disappointment or something that is not going the way that we expected, or we just running into the brick wall. So, in order for us to talking about the valley, I would like to talking about the conditions and the emotion and the state of mind when we are in the valley.
Yes, they all have an impact, and sometimes the emotions tend to take over a little bit, and that's not always the best way to handle it, depending on what those emotions are. But the conditions, I guess I think of transitional shifts. We all have points in life where something changes, or there's a shift or transition, that there's an external force that creates some part of change, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. But I think of conditions as we can't always control all of them either. Some of them are way outside our control. We want to control them, but they're way out of our reach. Do you agree?
Oh yeah, because I think that the condition of when we are in the valley, that means we're at the foot of the mountain or the hill or wherever that is, and we are in the situation that's uncontrollable, and
right,
and that is the condition is something that happened then we are at the bottom, or we are in the valley. And the emotional part of it, and I think that it have to do with the hopelessness, and something that to a lot of people, they feel like they don't have the way out.
True.
That emotional, like just like you feel trapped. It's something that you think that
Yes.
you cannot, not that because you are hopelessness, but again because you are in the situation and you just don't see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes, it's like a roller coaster, isn't it? We're out of control. We're going different directions, and you have fear and loss and disappointment that kind of intersect with each other. And sometimes there's a little bit of anger on top of that, but a lot of times it's the loss, disappointment, and hopelessness that you mentioned that I think tend to collaborate with each other to create more negative emotions to perpetuate themselves, right?
Yeah, when people often say that whatever that is, what you think, therefore, what you see, what you think. And then when I'm, when we're talking about the state of mind, when once or when us get into trap in the valley, the state of mind is, we don't have hope. We kind of like the state of mind that we don't have, there's no way out. The state of mind that is, it's just like we are doomed. Or I think that when we are in the valley, I think it's very, very difficult for one to make a sound, good decision because we
True.
don't see anything with potential. We don't see anything positive about,
Yes.
we don't see things with hopeful. We don't think, therefore, I see in this chapter, the author mentioned that, the lesson from Ron Blosser, he said that never make a major decision when you are in the valley. And I totally agree with that.
Yes, that's a very good point. It's very difficult when we're in the valley in those tough moments. We just feel like we're grasping. We're grasping for answers, and we don't have the clarity that we need to be able to make a well-educated, intelligent decision that's detached from some of the negative emotions that we talked about.
And you're talking about the loneliness too. When you are
True.
there,
That's true.
in the valley, you feel like you're all by yourself.
Very true. Yeah, we feel cornered. We feel trapped. I guess those are some of the other senses that I think of. And it's difficult to break out of that cycle, isn't it? Because we get these negative emotions collaborating with each other, and we get to that trapped, cornered feeling, and we can't. That state of mind, we feel like we're stuck, don't we?
Yes, and then especially when we are, I'd say call we are, but I said when me, if I happen to be in the valley and by myself, and the fear paralyzing me, and all the things that I keep on imagination, imagine things getting worse,
Yes.
and then you are in that state of mind. So that's why I think that one point that when we talked earlier, you did mention that we have to understand that sometimes we need some help. Sometimes we need somebody with more experience and wiser. You should listen to them, and we'll find a way out.
Very true. Yes, it's. Go ahead.
I see that in the story, Craig, when he's talking about, he agreed with Ron at the point that he almost make not almost he already did that he made some a very bad decision when he was in the valley from the time that he thinking about come to see Jonathan because he see what is in it for him, and he just don't
Right.
see anything else. That then and he repeatedly making one decision after the decision out of the desperate, out of the thing that how do you say it?
Desperation?
Yeah, desperations. Yeah.
Okay.
And then that way he pretty much made quite a few of unfavorable decisions, I think.
Yes.
Now, they're talking about going through valley. I know that I have my share of going through valley. Do you thinking anything in your life at one point that you went through the valley?
Yes, like you, I've been through the valley many times, and I can think of one story in particular that I think would be good to share with our audience at this point. About a year and a half ago, I suddenly was told that my job was being eliminated. And I didn't expect it, and I didn't know how to handle it. I was overcome with emotion. I mean, suddenly you have fear, disappointment, hopelessness. You're faced with chaos. You don't know how to handle it. You're trying to keep your emotions under control because you don't want to be remembered as reacting the wrong way. But it put me in a situation where, once I left that office, that I went into reactive mode, and I was it felt hurt, lost, just paralyzed by fear, and feeling like, what can I really do? I've tied up my existence with this job. I've been an attorney, and how could I possibly do anything else? And just feeling like that was the only path. That was the only path that really made sense career-wise. And so I started weighing my options and looking at what options were there. I tried very hard to try to get back in the courtroom, and it seemed like that was the right thing to do. And all those doors were closed. But I seemed to be sort of jumping at that decision. I was trying to jump back into the courtroom when I was in the valley, and wow. that may not have been the, that didn't seem like the right path when all those doors were closing. And finally, I was working with a couple coaches, and they were helping me evaluate my options. And one of them said, "Look, you keep talking about wanting to become a coach, about wanting to become a running coach, and you put this in the back burner. And when life hands you these situations, these chaotic situations where you can make a transition," she said, I can tell from the tone of your voice that you really want to do this, that you really want to be a running coach. She said, I absolutely think you should do this. And I felt too paralyzed to make that decision myself. But once she told me that, it changed. I felt empowered. I felt excited. And I realized, after months of struggling with this and trying to find a job and, being unemployed, it gave me a special appreciation for the suffering that people have when they go through this. It's devastating emotionally for people and their families. But, after having this coach, they helped instill some of that self-confidence again and help me believe in myself and see that I could do something productive and that I had experience and talent and wisdom in that area. I just realized that that's what I'm going to do. And I felt hopeful again. The hopelessness just sort of vanished.
My question to you, Jeremy, thank you very much for sharing your story. But at what point that you recognize that you are at the valley, and what is your tipping point?
Yeah, I think the valley, the sense of the valley happened right away. I mean, when I got the news of my job being eliminated, I felt like I was in a deep chasm. I felt like I was in hell because it just felt like falling off a cliff. And, I didn't realize, until maybe a couple of weeks or months later, how deep that chasm was. And then I had to get out of there, and then I couldn't stay there. We can't replay these chaotic moments in our heads. It's just not productive to do so, because then we get trapped in these negativity cycles. So really it took, in a way, I realized it right away, but I didn't realize how deep the chasm was until, a couple of weeks or months later, where I was still feeling stuck, like I was in quicksand.
I love the way you describe your reaction. You say reactive. Because
Yes.
see, when you react to a situation, you really don't acting properly or
That's
proactive.
true. That's
And
very
so
true.
when you are reactive, and that is most people, when we are in the valley, I think that we kind of react to the situation that we are in,
Yes,
right?
that's true. Yes, we're not thinking before we react either. It just, it's a snap decision type of sudden reaction without really thinking about doing the right thing, about acting with some thought as to really being mindful of what we're doing.
So in another word, that you have quite a few of a gift, a talent, but you get so gun ho on being a lawyer because
Yes.
that's what you train to do. And then when you go to the law, I think that must be your passion too. And when you learn that what you have a passion, and you have the drive, because I have a daughter who is attorney. I tell you that a lot of hard working and studying, and when you feel like you fall off the cliff, just like you crash.
Yes.
Is that the feeling?
Absolutely. Crushed, destroyed, devastated. I mean, I can't even, it's hard to even put into words. But and it was so unlike, sometimes the pain that we feel is actually other people's sufferings. But if it's personal and something like this, it's so much more intense. But yeah, if I feel like being crushed, hit by a truck, I mean, that just, and all these things are figurative. They're not, they're not real. They're just my best attempt to try to paint a word picture as far as how it felt.
So with that frame of the mind, you couldn't possibly make the sound decisions.
Oh, no. My focus was simply on trying to apply for as many legal jobs as possible. And so I was trying to do that. And my wife was very supportive of that. And meanwhile, my parents kept telling me, you've got to find a legal job. You've got to find a legal job. You have a law degree. You should be a lawyer. But I think we have to realize sometimes other people's expectations of what we should do don't necessarily match up with where our strengths and talents may send us. And so that reassessment, once I was able to detach a lot of the negative emotions from this and realize, well, I can do a lot of different things. There are more than even one path. This coach helped me realize there were maybe 5, 6, 10 different paths that I could take, and that some of them could be woven together.
So, Jeremy, I'm sorry, this is not the way that I want to come as interviewing you. But my question to you is, if one of your clients come to you, and if they beginning to share with you your story, at what point that you want to help them to identify that they are in the valley, and then because if they have to recognize that they're in the valley, then you can help them to find a way to get out the valley, right? Because it's always out.
That's very true. And that's one of the most difficult things to realize in life, that there is a way out of every situation, every challenge, every chaotic moment. I mean, it does tend to resolve itself. But I think we have to try to assess where someone is, with the depth of the valley, and, sometimes the length, how long the valley has lasted in time. But the time, the depth, Sometimes I'll ask people, what can you describe it in words? Tell me in words what you're feeling. And we get conditioned to know when people are being accurate with what they're describing, and when we're just hearing a lot of negativity wrapped in pain. I mean, you can't really unravel that situation without unraveling all the pain that's wrapped around the negativity.
I think that you just speak the word of Jonathan when he talking about when you seeking for if you have the two choices, seeking for somebody opinion or the counsel, and I think that that is the seeking for counsel come in, and for you,
Right.
because you are with the wisdom, because you've been through it and you have the experience, you can helping them identify and find their way much easier than to with other coaches. They can help them too, but because your is you went through the valley and you identify it, you get out of it, so you can help your client much faster, because at
True.
the outsider, now you went through it and then you can look into it, you can see much clearly than your client.
That's true. And it really gives you unique understanding when you hear other people talk about these situations. I feel like I have more empathy now than I did before with people that might struggle with transitions like this. And then I started to realize we talk about midlife crises, and sometimes they're crises, and sometimes we magnify them into crises when maybe they're not. So.
Yeah, when somebody have told me that the power of empathy is just like, because you've been through that, like you can sit in the dark with somebody and you can feel it because you went through it. It's not just so intellectually as emotionally. You can, being there with that person and lead their way out.
Sure,
You know.
that's true.
And then that is the talking point for this chapter is through the valley. And again, like I mentioned earlier, it is one of my favorite because not just you, I think that all our viewer and myself included, we are often in the situation that uncontrollable to us, we
Right.
fall down into the valley, and then we have to find a way out. And so sometimes that we just think that, we cannot find a way out. But like you mentioned, there is always the way out.
That's
And
true.
and then and again, our conversation too. You did mention to me that when you're stuck in the valley, you have to sometimes that you have to take time riding out the storm in order
Right.
for you just because when the eye of the storm, when you go into the whirlwind of it and you don't see anything, but when it calmer and you can see it better and you can look into a different perspective.
That's true. There has to be some detachment from the intensity of the situation, and I think that takes time. It's tough to learn this too. To learn a sense of emotional intelligence, to be able to recognize when we're allowing all these negative emotions to take over. But we do have to find ways to release them in productive ways, whether it's through exercise or through writing down what happened in a journal or something like that. That's very helpful to people to at least have a personal account of what happened and get it out on paper. And maybe you don't even save it, but it at least allows us to be able to express some of that in a meaningful way and get some of it out so we're not suffering from it.
Yeah, you see, for me, I will do exactly what you mentioned, but I also distance myself from it a little bit because see,
True.
when I'm too close to it, I see everything in the zoom
Yes.
lens, magnify everything. But if
Right.
I take a few steps backward, I can see the whole vista. I can see
Sure.
the whole scenario, and then I can start to asking the question, and hopefully that is the right question in order for to give it to me the right solution that is to find a way out.
Yes.
You know that there is that is one of the most significant in that chapter is how to try to believe, not try to believe, you must believe that there is a way out. And because Robert Schuller have said that tough time never lasts, but tough people do. So we just need to hang on tight and just to ride the storm, and then to get to some place that we can make our decision to find our way out. But again, the second thing that Ron Glosser also talking about the power of as if. And Jeremy, you know me for some time now, and
Yes.
when people said, the power of acting as if, that means just like we have a visions, just like the goal. When you have a dream, and the dream have to commit, ink on paper, then it become a goal. And when you have a goal, that you have to believe that, because you just like, there's so many things he's talking about. A goal is a promise you make to yourself that you need
Right.
to accomplish a certain thing, right? And that is
Yes.
from Bill Bartman, that he make the pocket card
Pocket
that to
promise.
remind him, and the promise, and the power as if it just step into your visions and act as if that you you achieve that, and then you have to start to imagine that is at the finish line, somebody waiting for you, somebody will be high five with you and pump their fist with you, and you can see the beneficiary of your achievement, and
Yes.
that is very enticing, right? And the power
is.
of what acting as if, and to me, you step into the level you want to achieve and act as you already have it. And I'm going crazy when people said, fake it until you make it. No, you don't fake it until you make it. You have to step in that vision, and you have to work so hard. You have to elevate your skill. You have to elevate your knowledge, and you have to seeking for help, whatever that is. Because in order for you to achieve what you have never achieved before, you have to do something that you have not done before. And, and that including learn from technology. There is many software they come out with 1.0, and then they will have some make a major improvement, and that become 2.0. So upgrade yourself to the vision of, just like Ha or Jeremy 1.0, and now we have to upgrade ourselves to Jeremy 2.0 or Ha 2.0, because that is the power of acting as if, give you the power and believing that you can get there. And and not to fake it until you make it. You have to work hard, and in order for you to become it.
Yes, the power of visualization is extremely helpful. If we start picturing that we're accomplishing our goals and seeing it over and over, with running, like you said, the finish line, we picture that over and over. You're hitting the finish line, you're achieving your goals, you're qualifying for the Boston Marathon or whatever your goal is. But really seeing it and sensing it and seeing how it feels and storing that memory away, we really need positive things like that. And we need to be doing that daily, I think, or it's just not as powerful, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just like as a runner, I know that your wife also have the passion and the love for running too.
Yes.
Just imagine that you just about get to the finish line and you're so exhausted, but you know that she is waiting for you just to high five with you, just say, right, you did it. It's just like that what acting as if to me. And thank you very much for mentioning the word that visualizations, because in Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill also talking about that, that the power of suggestion, the power of, step into that visions.
Right. And that the visualization, it helps us heal too, doesn't it? It gets us focused on positive things, and it helps us detach ourselves from negative things.
Right. That is, you redirect your thought from your loss to, to to what you have left. Because
Right.
now, we were talking about the glass half full, half empty. You just cannot cry over what, the spilled milk, but you have to
True.
concentrate on what we have and to redirect our energy and our intention to what we have left.
Exactly.
So
Well put.
that's it. I think that is our purpose to share the book thing, 3 feet from goal, because, we want to tell people that, develop a stickability in order for, you have the passion, you have the drive to get you there, but the stickability is the one that to get you there. So,
That's true.
yeah, what's going on next week, Jeremy?
Let's see. Next week is episode 5. We'll be covering the chapter. Is it chapter 6 in the
Or
book, or episode 4, covering
uh
chapter
yeah, chapter 5.
5 in the book?
Yeah, and the
Yes,
book and
getting
that
mixed
is
up.
outstanding. And we will go to do one chapter again. This outstanding.
Yes, yes. The next one will be one chapter, and I think the episode after that, we're talking about doing 2 chapters at once again, I believe.
Okay, that's awesome. So, Jeremy, thank you so much for sharing your story with us, because I think that, one time or another we went to the valley and we thought that we are the only one going to the valley, but the truth of the matter is, every one of us, different state of our life, we went through it, and I'm so glad that, you went through it, and then now you were able to help other people, because it can be a very lonely journey,
It
and when
can
you're
be.
stuck in the valley, that's not a fun place to be.
Yes, and it's not as lonely as we think it is, because there are people that love and that love us and care for us and can help us with their wisdom and experience, like we talked about.
Yeah, see we open our mind and our heart, because you welcome, other help. But if you just say, okay, you want to do it by yourself, no, that that there is the power of collaboration and
Right.
support, from the family and loved one. But the very important is seeking the counsel. The people have the experience like you and have the knowledge to help them through the valley. I think it's more important, because see, your family, they can feel for you. They can just say, okay, they can nod their head and they said, oh, I know what you feel, but they might not able to tell you how to get out the valley.
True. That's true. And sometimes it takes experts that have that wisdom and experience to be able to allow us to do that. And you obviously have that expertise too. You've been through valley moments also, and so I think that helps. That helps you have compassion and understanding for people when they're going through tough times too.
Yeah, see, my journey is many valley and also mountain top too, and sometimes that I tumble over the black hole as well. And then at the, through the book, at some point that I will share my journey to you and to the our viewer.
Yes,
So
when you get to the top of the mountain, pause and make a major decision. That's one
that
of the
that
fundamental lessons of this chapter.
that's exactly right, because you in the emotional conditional and the state of mind to make a sound decisions.
Yes.
Jeremy, it is a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ha. I'm going to say 2 more things that I think are takeaways in this chapter. The first one is the purpose of life is not just to survive. The purpose of life is to thrive. There are
Whoa,
people,
that's profound.
there are people out there that can help us do that, but we can't thrive on our own. We have to thrive with the help of others, like you said, Ha, with collaboration. And the other one is an acronym. There's an acronym for the word hope. Have you heard this one?
No,
It,
let me hear it.
it's one of my favorites. Hold on, pain ends. Hold on, pain
Wow,
ends.
I like that.
Very powerful.
Yes,
We have to buy into it and believe it, but if we can do that and recognize that's extremely helpful, because we feel like that pain isn't going to end. It feels like it's going to last forever, but it doesn't. It really doesn't.
Wow, this one will be the thing that I will add on with the next to Dr. Robert Schuller's Tough Time Never Lasts, but Tough People Do.
Oh, good.
Okay, so long,
All right.
Jeremy.
Bye, Ha.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Bye.
Bye.